Hello friends, near and far, dear to my heart, I'm Victoria with Aligned Soul Tarot. Welcome to this Chiron Natal series. Today we're going to speak upon Chiron in Gemini, unveiled in Sagittarius' season's trail. Sagittarius, the archer, aligns with Chiron's call, a wound that humbles yet strengthens us. Here lie the keys to triggers and pain, echoes of lessons we've lived through time and time again. In this session, we'll dive deep into this aspect of your natal chart. We'll explore Gemini and Chiron, its astrological meaning. We'll pull some cards to uncover the messages that it's bringing to you. From lifetimes past to the now, you feel Chiron reveals what you're destined to heal. A scar that whispers, you're broken. But this is far from the truth. True healing lies within this aspect of your chart. Chiron's flame burns tender, yet bright, a paradox held in the shadow of light. It marks a place where your heart may ache, but through this pain, your power will awake. In Gemini, it cries, speak up. Chiron in Gemini is the wound of words, a voice unspoken. It's the ache of language lost, a struggle to find what will truly appease. Your mind is a labyrinth, sharp and vast, yet echoes of doubt linger from the past. Perhaps as a child, your truth was dismissed, your stories untold, your presence was missed. You carry the wound of miscommunication, a fear of rejection, of lost translation. But within this pain, a gift takes root. A healer's tongue, a voice that's astute. Through your wound, you learn to inspire, to weave connection, to spark the fire. For every word you dare to reclaim builds a bridge where others feel the same. So speak your truth. Let it flow and unfurl. Your voice is a balm to a fragmented world. Chiron in Gemini, the wounded muse, turns pain into the wisdom the world can truly use. Chiron isn't about weaknesses or failure. It's about finding the strength to rise when you feel small. It's a connection between the struggles in your soul and the wisdom of the universe, offering a chance for healing and wholeness. Look to where Chiron is in your natal chart because it holds a lesson, a purpose, and a gift. The wound it represents is your teacher, guiding you towards deeper understanding and truth within yourself. Now let's get into your reading. Why, hello there, my Chiron and Gemini viewers, and for those that are watching just for this placement, maybe for another, to gain some insight on what this truly means within your birth chart. Just know that this is one part of your chart. There's so much more to reveal behind this one layer. It's like peeling back an onion, right? There's so much to your birth chart. And just know that I do offer personalized one-on-one comprehensive birth chart readings where you get a 2 full question tarot spread as well. So check out my website below and all my other helpful links and playlists to support you. I do offer free YouTube monthly readings here, general astrology and tarot messages, and a love reading for each sign. So subscribe, like this video, share away with other people that might have this in their chart. And let's get into it. Below you can also find some dates for people that may have this Chiron and Gemini, okay? So, Chiron and Gemini. I actually have this in my natal chart. So this is very personal for me. And what's interesting is, and you might also have this kind of dialogue going on in your chart, is I have a sun in Gemini. So it's really interesting to me when you have Chiron in your sun sign. So there's a very strong relationship for me personally, and maybe you as well. Something to look at in your birth chart. Because also, whatever aspects to Chiron, what's sitting with Chiron, right? What other planets are with Chiron are going to be speaking to you as well. So just know this is a general reading. Your birth chart can uncover way more depth and detail to what this truly means for you. Okay. Also, what house it's in, right? This can flavor it differently. So let's get into the general themes and messages for you. And again, if you want a private reading with me, find my email below. All right, let's dive deep into this Chiron and Gemini. Let's do a reading for you. So it is really about authenticity, being authentic, because it's not just about communication. Gemini also governs and rules study, knowledge, much like Sag. And I decided to do this series during Sag season because, again, Sagittarius represents Chiron. In Sag is your opposite for those with Chiron and Gemini, or wherever you have Gemini in your chart as well. Just know that. There's a lot of healing during Sag season for all of us, especially with this Chiron placement. But what I was about to say for Gemini in general is it's about knowledge. It's a thirst for knowledge. It's staying curious and open and humble. And also, again, translating that. So Gemini is like a database system. They take in a lot of information and they're meant to explain things. They're meant to process it through communication. So don't let yourself get stagnant or stuck with taking in too much and not releasing it as well. Gemini third house influence reminds me of a database, like I said. And when you had to, and for some computer systems, you still have to do this, is defragging. So although you might be taking information in, again, how are you processing it? How are you releasing it through movement, especially? Because Chiron and Gemini, any Gemini really can become very restless if they're not releasing or communicating what it is that they're taking in. So very important for you to practice movement, communication skills, conflict resolution, learning how to speak in an efficient way to get your message across. And also just understanding that not everyone's going to get you, okay? Not everyone's going to understand you, and that's okay. Speak your truth, be authentic with this Chiron and Gemini. You are meant to reveal something. You are meant to communicate. You are meant to lead in some way, especially amongst smaller communities, because Gemini, third house, also represents local community. Rather than institutions, it's more about community. Okay, so for some of you with Chiron and Gemini, you could have been at a younger age, not only had to play small or told you that your truth wasn't true, or you're just jibber jabbering away, it doesn't make sense, gaslighting, pretty much projecting around your words. And this could have been due to, again, institutions. This could have been due to religious beliefs or just in general beliefs that were ingrained in you at a young age. And again, Chiron and Gemini is about being open, a student of life, study, curious about different things, opening up your mind, because Gemini is a spectrum, right? And that's why they're so relatable. They're mutable air. So it's also about empathizing even with your enemy. Forgiveness around those that maybe made you feel small or less than, that made you feel like your wit or charm was useless. You are very unique in what you're here to do, and there definitely is a message that you are meant to at least convey to yourself, if not others. Okay? A deeper truth, a deeper awareness of your truth. All right, let's pull from the Death Doula. Let's pull from the Death Doula for Chiron and Gemini, my fellow Chiron and Gemini friends. Also, just know that there's transits. Astrology is evolutionary and it's always changing and shifting. Your birth chart is concrete, right? But we don't have to stay stuck or stagnant to these things. We're meant to heal this Chiron placement. So it's good to look into transits that are occurring within your natal birth chart to Chiron. And I do offer a 6-month transit reading. Okay, if you want to look deeper into maybe some aspects that are presented to you now or will be in the next 6 months with your Chiron, or just any placement in your chart. All right, Chiron and Gemini Collective, again, thank you for finding me here. If you're still watching, please hit that like button to get this video out to more people that are needing this message. I appreciate your support, your likes, your shares, your subscribes, your comments below. I love to hear about your relationship with Chiron. What are some things that you found that you're learning through this as you dive deeper into your birth chart? All right, Death Doula Oracle. Let's pull a message for Chiron and Gemini. Chiron and Gemini. Chiron and Gemini. What is the message, Spirit, ancestors, guides, allies, angels? Chiron and Gemini. New narratives. I love this. New narratives. Yes. Also, what I'm getting off of this card here is with the dishonesty here is negative self-talk as well. It's not just, again, about you conveying a message to others, although that is a part of this placement. But again, it's also about what are you telling yourself? A truth that you're revealing to yourself. Because with any sort of manifestation, your karma, your dharma, all these things, it's not always external. It's almost more internal. When you think of healing, especially Chiron, it's a place to heal. A lot of it is internalized. A lot of it isn't always going to be expressed outward. But with this specific Chiron and Gemini, it's almost like a 2-part layer. So the more that you can reframe your thoughts, and I do have a helpful therapeutic tool below. You can find that link for that video for reframing. It's about turning your inner critic to your inner coach. New narratives, right? It's important for you to believe what it is that you are expressing. Because if you're just speaking from, say, someone else's channel, or a truth that was given to you that maybe didn't necessarily resonate, right? And you're still on that track, that cycle, that karmic wheel of that same kind of belief or truth. Because our truths can change and shift. And this is what the biggest lesson for Sag, this Chiron placement is that we can't stay too fixed on one truth. Okay, and that's something that Gemini and Sag are both learning, is to be adaptable, to understand that our truth can bend, that the sword that we yield, much like in Tarot, which is represented by air signs, Gemini, is that we can wield a new sword. You know, one that's built off of authentic communication, one that we have genuinely felt within ourselves. And when we convey it, it feels authentic. It feels true. It feels valid within our bones, within our blood, right? Because again, if you're speaking and there's this kind of cognitive dissonance is what they call it, when it's like there's a part of you that knows that this is not it. There's more to it, right? Staying curious, staying open, peeling back the layers. There's more to it. Why am I feeling this way? Why are these thoughts coming up? What's this negative self-talk? Much like 8 of Swords, Gemini energy that can happen with Gemini placements, is we can create this self-imposed prison, anxiety, right? Fears. So new narratives, let's read about this. So this Death Doula book, Oracle is amazing, by the way. I highly encourage you to look into this deck. It gives rituals for each of the cards to deepen this connection, right? Let's see. Okay, this card encourages the reader to write a new story for themselves and future generations. by making the choice to move away from toxic patterns, societal and personal. This card asks the reader, are you living with love, especially through situations where your ancestors could not? So with this card, it's saying breath work. So for some of you that are new to understanding breath work, maybe you can look into that, because Gemini is air and it represents the lungs. Also, lungs talk about grief. So processing grief, again, stuck or stagnant energy where you felt repressed or you couldn't speak up. You were ashamed at some point of your life, most likely from early childhood. It was ingrained in you. That's usually where Chiron usually is embedded in our lives. And it's destined to some extent, right? I do believe that we are born and we choose when we're born, we choose our parents, all of that. And you all have the right to believe what you want, but you chose this placement for a deeper reason, right? A deeper truth, a new narrative. And breath work can help you release some of that stagnant, stuck energy, especially within the lungs, okay? Also, Gemini rules the hands, so this is working with your hands. We got dishonesty here. So again, this is very much connected to old toxic patterns, much like the Eight of Swords. Let's look into what this says here. This card implies dishonesty not from another, but from yourself. Yeah, this is the Eight of Swords energy. How have you been deceiving yourself? What are the stories you've been telling yourself? What narratives have you been adhering to? Yeah, this is so connected to new narratives. What have you been ignoring that needs attention? What comforts do you hide behind? Yes, very much so. Something that is perceived as comfortable, right? It's actually keeping you stuck to some extent. Again, a truth that you told yourself that you're like, well, that's it. I'm safe here. And I was actually talking to a client about this recently, because it is really hard for us to step out of those comfort zones. You know, we're creatures of habit. We're creatures of comfort. Our ego, that part of us that we cannot deny or dismantle, although we can have what's called ego deaths, it's not really the death of the ego. It's just us incorporating it into our, incorporating it into our intuition, right? Where the ego doesn't take the driver's seat. Or when it does, we notice it. It's like a muscle. We start to observe when the ego is taking charge, much like survival mode, which most of us on this earthly realm experience that. Again, there could have been something, like most of us, I'm speaking from my own life, anywhere really on planet Earth, where we are indoctrinated to certain beliefs and certain patterns. And this is the healing journey. And again, this part of your chart is here to break free from those restraints, especially self-imposed ones. And the reason why I say self-imposed, although it was probably imprinted on you from your family, relationships, right? Whatever karma that you're playing out, potentially from even past lives, much like your South Node placement, is that you are born into it, yes. You don't really have a choice for that. But as you grow, and usually after your first Saturn return, 28 to 30 years of age, not all of you have even experienced that. For some of you, you have, or you're going through your second, around 58, 60. Again, your birth chart will flavor how this shows up, when it even shows up, when it's presented even louder, right? So again, birth chart analysis. But the self-imposed is when there's a part of you that knows that something needs to change, but you keep choosing what's comfortable. So that's when free will steps in. You're not a child anymore. And although I empathize and I validate those experiences, because I myself have experienced them, there comes a time in your journey when you have to make that active choice to heal. That's the self-imprisonment. That's the self-imposed imprisonment that you might create where you've been dishonest to yourself. And it's time to create new narratives. You know, what led you to this reading is probably because there's a part of you that's curious and wants to learn more about your birth chart. And that's really one of the biggest steps that you can take to understanding more about yourself and to deepen this message. And you know, you might get this message and it clicks right away, but for some of you, honestly, it really can depend on what transits are happening right now for you, right? Other parts of your birth chart. Because astrology, much like tarot, it's evolutionary. It's energy, it shifts and changes based on free will as well, and the choices that you're making. All right. Ooh, what card is that? Two of Wands, the choices you're making. Yes, active choices at that. You have took action by watching this video. This is, again, a big step towards understanding. And Sag is about, again, deepening that truth. Also, when I think of Sag, I think of, which is Gemini's opposite. I'm speaking on this. Again, Sag season right now as I'm recording this, is that, you know, Gemini can be a bit more scattered, right? Again, more spectrum here, which is what you maybe are calling in, but you're the guidance from your opposite Sag here is to narrow in. This is where you can narrow in and you can actually really truly see the lesson. Narrow in on your target. What are you trying to gain from this placement? What are you trying to truly gain from this information that I'm even giving to you? You know, are you just gonna watch it and then put it away for another day? You might. But remember, with this placement, you have to be careful about what you're storing. Are you compartmentalizing? Brushing it off for another day type of thing. Because again, you each have your own unique journey, and I'm not here to discredit that. But just be mindful of what you are taking in and what you're neglecting with that information, okay? Chiron and Gemini. What do we have for them? Ancestors, guides, allies. Lovely. Chiron and Gemini. Ancestors, angels, guides, ascended masters. What is the message that I need to convey to Chiron and Gemini? Chiron and Gemini. Okay. Okay. Lots around family. Again, this is again that Hierophant, which is the first card that came out. Very strong message, Taurus. Okay. This can go two ways. What I'm seeing here is with the other cards of the Ten of Pentacles and the Devil, Capricorn, Virgo, lots of earth energy here showing up, is that there could have been, again, beliefs. Hierophant is the first 7 years of your life. It's where the Fool's journey, right? They meet the High Priestess. This is birth. This is spirit. Reincarnation, if you believe in it, right? Become packed and well-equipped with a lot, right? And then we get our parents, Empress, Emperor, the Magician, the power of creation, to walk and talk and breathe, you know, to make choices to some extent, right, as a child. And then we have the Hierophant, which is like, hey, this is your society, this is your culture, this is your religion, this is your beliefs, and that can look very different for all of you, right? And then the other side of it is, and that might not always be so negative, right? You could say that you were born into something that you still hold true. And also, even if it was negative, there's something that you learned from that experience, and you can try to take away from it as a lesson learned. Again, much like your Saturn return, it's where you get to sit down with all of that wisdom from the time of conception and birth to 28, 30 years of age. That's what Saturn's doing, right? Saturn return. And then we get to deepen that truth, the Hierophant. There's levels to this, as you can see. So you start, you know, with that first 7 years, and then you get to kind of make your path. And there's deeper awareness in the Hierophant, right? We can believe in more than one thing. But the shadow of this card, again, is the fact that there was things that happened at a young age that potentially were toxic patterns, toxic thoughts, toxic relationships, the devil. And even the devil itself, it's all of us have a part of this aspect in our lives, whether it's within us or around us, something that we all have to deal with living on planet Earth. We're very susceptible to this, especially if we had trauma at a young age. And there's something around family here, you know, that really made you feel more reserved. Like, maybe I shouldn't speak up. Maybe what I'm saying isn't legit or right or correct, you know, making assumptions about yourself due to other people's beliefs, even other people's devil, other people's shadow is really what it is. Because when you think about people that belittle you or project or gaslight you, it's usually due to their own level of insecurity and their own relationship with this devil energy. It says more about them than it does about you, right? But as a child, you know, as a child, we can't understand that. Children assume first and foremost that it's them because they can't conceptualize anything different. So this is where healing comes in, where most of you with this placement, it does take a level of processing those 3 swords, right? Pain, grief. And then you get to choose to drop those burdens, 10 of Wands, Hierophant, and step into a deeper truth here. What are you taking with you from your past, right? That all that baggage that you might no longer need. There's something that you need to release here. Okay, and especially some negative self-talk that you told yourself that no longer serves you. But with the 4 swords and the 4 pentacles, there is a part of this healing journey that does require a step back, to reframe, to create a new story. Your story, it matters. And then after this kind of gestation, right, new truths, curiosity, staying open, opening up to different perspectives, even for some of you that maybe were a bit rigid or fixed due to, again, your family or just your personality, right? For some of you, if you have a lot of fixed signs like Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, Leo, fixed signs, some of the biggest lessons that they have to learn is to become more adaptable, right? So even if your parents were super loosey-goosey, right? Anything goes. Maybe you adapted to that as, I need to protect myself. I need to make things very rigid and I need to create safety. Much like the Hierophant Taurus. I need to create safety. I need to hold back, you know? And maybe some of you are now learning how to embrace the Chiron and Gemini is that I need to be more open. I need to maybe see other people's perspectives. I need to be more empathetic, right? So it can look different for all of you. But this 10 of Pentacles is here nonetheless. And it does speak upon your past, but also speaks upon your future. What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? What's the story that you want to leave behind for your children, even if you don't have children, for generations to come, right? Because not all of you are going to have children or get married at that. But the 10 of Pentacles is about your legacy. Again, there's something that you are leaving behind that is going to leave an imprint on the next generations, 10 of Pentacles, okay? Let's pull from the Moonology. But yeah, the 10 of Pentacles also is about community. Again, Gemini 3rd house is creating communities, even if, again, you don't have a husband, wife, children, you know, not all of you are going to want that or desire that. This is just about your friends, your communities, supporting others, helping others also, again, to speak their truth as you proclaim a new narrative for yourself. And you understand that not everyone, the devil, is going to understand you, and that's okay. Don't let the devil keep you stuck, stagnant, or fixed on a belief that you're not worthy of this 10 of Pentacles, because you are. You have a great story to tell. In your experiences as well, for some of you, you might be here to help others through teaching, through whatever it is, even YouTube, right? Practices, mentorship, teaching of all kinds, right? It doesn't have to just be spiritual, but for some of you with the Hierophant, it is. Spiritual teachings, tarot, astrology. All right, Chiron and Gemini. Whoa, there it is. There's Gemini. Wow. It couldn't be more true, huh? Full moon in Gemini, which guess what? Whenever you find this reading, We do have a full moon in Gemini on December 15th. So even if you're finding this after this full moon in Gemini, I want you to reflect on when the moon is in Gemini, because there's going to be some crucial messages that come through for you. Also, Gemini season, which is the end of May and June, those are crucial points, because what happens is with this Chiron in Gemini, it is going to conjunct the sun or the moon or whatever Gemini is transiting, right? So full moon in Gemini, the answers you need are coming. Beautiful. So for those of you that are finding this reading, just know that there are answers coming for you that are going to help you open up. Nothing is set in stone. That's that mutable energy for those of you that have a lot of fixed in your chart. Again, Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, Leo. It's becoming more mutable. Also, for those that have mutable in your chart, this is Gemini, Sag, Pisces, Virgo. Pulling on those qualities within your chart, looking into your chart and seeing where you have mutable or fixed. It's going to take a level of surrender here. That's that Four of Swords. So there is a surrender, because for some of you, what I'm getting here is that you're like, when will I know? I want the answers, you know? And there's something about being more mutable, going with the flow. Nothing is set in stone. Also, when nothing is set in stone, this is like releasing the binds of the devil, because the devil wants to keep you stuck. It wants to keep you feeling small. It wants you to feel like there's no other way, there's no other choice. And this card's saying, wait, hold on. Nothing is set in stone here. You don't have to stay fixed to that. Where are you selling yourself short here? Surrender, open up, and there's your ancestors, your allies, your guides, spirit, religion, whatever you practice, surrender to that. There's a lot of full moon energy here. So again, full moons is about releasing. So for those of you with this Chiron in Gemini, full moons are very potent, especially when they are in Gemini, okay? Or any mutable sign at that. Some of you might have a mutable moon. Again, that's Gemini, Sag, Virgo, and Pisces. Looking at your moon placement as well for some of you is going to help a lot. But yeah, with full moon, it's about release. So releasing this devil. Again, what is that inner devil, that inner critic? Eight of Swords energy, right? Where you played small. I hope that this message helped you. And if you want to go deeper into a reading with me, you can find my links below. Again, I do free readings here on YouTube, so stay tuned for my monthly readings. And you can even watch back to some months that maybe you feel might help you with this message. I wish you all the best. Bye for now.